Get up, fight gravity. Fight gravity. Get up, fight gravity. Shape your reality. Get up, fight gravity. Fight gravity. Get up, fight gravity. Shape your reality.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of the All-American Asian Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Adam Long.
I'm Nina Hickox.
I'm your co-host, Vincent Young.
Welcome back. Today in episode 3, we continue our discussion regarding Asian American hate. Today in the studio we have with us Lieutenant Mike Ling, LAPD Rampart Division Lieutenant of Narcotics and Undercover Gang Work. He's going to tell us his own background. So, Mike, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me here.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, I'm a 30-year police officer with the LAPD. Originally, I was born and raised in Hong Kong and came here when I was 12 years old, going to school, college, and so forth. And became a police officer at 22 and continued my course. It's been a wonderful career choice. I see a lot of things, and throughout my career, I work a lot of different assignments. Patrol work is just part of it. I work at Tour and Vice. I did 10 years in narcotics. I worked gang as a sergeant, as an officer. I've worked Asian gang as an investigator for 2 years. Now making sergeant, detective. Now I've been a lieutenant for the last 8 years. Currently, I'm running the detective operation and also the gangs and narcotics stuff. So my experience is doing a lot of field operation. That's my background in the police work.
That's a mouthful. All right, let's go back and unpack some of this. Was that with LAPD at the age of 22 that you started?
Yes, I started at 22.
Wow, amazing. But you grew up in Hong Kong. You were born in Hong Kong.
I was born and raised there, went to elementary school, junior high school, and my family from my mother's side immigrated here in the late 70s, and then I stepped foot into U.S. soil in 1982.
Amazing.
Wow. So how many officers are under your supervision at this point?
Currently, about 75.
Wow. Okay.
So you're over 75 officers now. Let me ask you, when you stepped foot here, like you said here in 1982, what was your level of awareness, cultural facility with America, LA, et cetera, et cetera?
So, first of all, you look at what's the purpose coming to the United States? What's so different about it? So you're looking at, and when you're young, you're taught the opportunity for college education, job opportunity. Look at a background that Hong Kong eventually, back in the 80s, has to go back to China being their territory. And a lot of people not liking the Chinese government, the hardship, and how somewhat just under dictatorship, a lot of controlling. They don't have the freedom. So a lot of people start migrating in the early time. And that's part of the culture and the Chinese culture, migrating outside to London, to England, to Australia, all these countries that are accepting immigrants. So United States was the stepping point for my family. So my mom and us followed suit. We came here in 82, just a few years after my grandparents.
Oh, that's great.
So, being Chinese American, does it put more responsibility and more pressure when you join the force?
It's a good question. Because back in the 80s, just like most Chinese family, the law enforcement work is not highly looked upon. I think a lot to do with the culture from back in the days. Not to have to go that far. Police force traditionally look as being corrupted, overpowered, heavy-handed. That used to be a say in Chinese that if you're really good at what you are, you become a doctor, accountant, be a doctor. When you're not good at anything else,
that's a Chinese culture.
and when you're not good at anything else, go be a captain. So those are the thing that stigma that goes with the job that I look at. But I look at it as a service community, looking at what can I do But also the benefit, the pay, the stable income, the benefit, the medical, all the stuff that goes with it. And going around the opportunity to open the door to see the city the way you look at differently. It's one of the best things I ever did. Is as I share with you, some of the things I see will shock your mind, like good and bad.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, speaking of that, I'm curious. I mean, with the amount of experience you've had and the breadth of it, but within this job, I want to ask you if you could share with us what is one of the best things you've ever been able to see or experience from being on your job?
So I have a lot of fun time and different time working in narcotics and all. But truly the best time I had was just a few years ago when I was a lieutenant running the Hollywood Entertainment District. I worked Hollywood for 6 years. 4 years of that is an entertainment district. What's it comprised? Comprised of Hollywood Bowl, Pantages Theater, Kodak Theater, all the entertainment venue, all the way down to Palladium. I got the chance to know every single nightclub, bar, major venue owner. I'm talking big business with Disney, Paramount Studio. The Oscar is my responsibility to do the safety. I have full access.
Red carpet? No way.
Red carpet. I have full access pass from beginning to end to walk into that at the end of the show on the stage 10 minutes after they leave.
So you get to go in the dressing rooms?
Oh, don't
come on,
start,
bro.
Adam. Come on, man. Come on.
So-
This is a
so-
reputable podcast.
So it's kind of funny that when I took this job, I never foresee the opportunity like that. When Hamilton first came to town about 4 or 5 years ago for the show, I mean, I got to meet Ling Miranda in person, talk to him a minute, look at the stage, walk in there, touch all the stuff. Those are the things that not really a police work, but I'm able to see that. Everybody, I learned to know all the. I think my boss said it best. I have the keys to the back door to every single major venue on Boulevard. I know every single nightclub owner. I know every single hotel manager. I make a phone call, I make things happen.
Wow.
Can I hang out with you? Because
Yeah.
there's some of those guys that I really want to meet, and I think you'd be really good in helping me do that.
So those are the things that, like, outside police work. What else do you do? Just access pass that come around. It's like sometimes I just go say hi at the Jimmy Kimmel venue. It's like, oh, so and so is coming, and if we stand there, it's like looking at people. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool, all right?
That's such a high-profile assignment. I mean, how do you train a rookie? I mean, that must be pretty.
It is something like completely unexpected. I mean, you just go with your experience, roll with the punches. They give you the assignment. Hey, you got to deal with the crime piece that surrounding the nightclub. From there, you open dialogue with the business owner. What is the best practice? You understand, as law enforcement and the law enforcement world changes continuously, putting bad guy in jail is just a small part of what we do collectively. Changing the environment. What caused the crime to happen? Why is people gather over in this alley but not that one? Because better lighting here, people tend to be safer. Business being occupied, business not being abandoned or left alone. People taking, fixing the window, little stuff that change the dynamic of it will change the venue. By talking to them, I get to see a lot of these stuff. And learning them at the same time, I become the point of contact on a lot of the even minor stuff. Hey, sometimes it's not, I don't call 911 just to call 911 for help. Can I talk to a police officer just for some advice? And I or my sergeant would be the person, you call me, I'll talk to you. And that opens the door to a lot of friendship and a lot of the understanding what they do.
That's just, I wouldn't have expected to hear from a cop just stories about being in contact with entertainment big wigs. It's just not something
Yeah.
Oh, but I want to ask you now, the flip side of that. A lot of experience, a lot of work, a lot of serious things. What can you share with us that on the other side that has affected you maybe in terms of things that are just discouraging or difficult to resolve
I mean, there are times that, high time and low time. I mean, as recent as to the recent, 2020 riot, everything leading up to it. What sparked the whole thing, a couple bad police officers from out of city, the city I've never even heard of, will spark national response. And I think my chief and us talked about that before as a group, that 1 minute the police profession is being respected. Next minute, now you're on the bottom on the ground. It's anti-police, defunding, all those things are coming around. I mean, how do you grasp all that? How do you put some logic behind it? And officers sometimes looking for the sergeant and lieutenant and captain, the leadership for some answer or some logical reasoning what this is about. And not too many people could give a good explanation on it.
So do you see that, have you seen a raise in crimes, like the crime has spiked recently?
Absolutely. I'll see it every day. It does.
And do you think it's something to do with the pandemic and the whole issue with George Floyd? And did that trickle on to the entire, police force?
You bring up a very good point. I think the 2020 truly, we hit the perfect storm of a trifecta on multiple levels. First is just George Floyd, the death of him, how he passed, trigger a national response on how the police reform should be done. Everybody has an opinion how it should be done. First, they cut the funding, but cutting funding normally is not you don't like the way they do business, yes, fix it. But they don't understand that every police department carry a different policy. What happened in Minneapolis does not carry the same policy over here in Los Angeles. Just not even different state, different city carry a different policy. They don't seem to grasp that. There's no national standard what it's supposed to be. And then the COVID hit, and everybody got locked down. Everybody's scared, don't understand what this virus is about. And you're home for 2-3 months, don't know what's going on. People, constant news reporting people are dying. That put a lot of fear in people's heart.
For sure. Like a cabin fever on top of.
So when that time when the spark hits, then when the news broke, and people looking for a trigger, I want to leave the house. Give me a reason to leave the house to join a cause of some sort, and that was it. And everybody just come out and just unleash whatever anger they have. I don't like society. I don't like this. It doesn't matter what you don't like. You just come out and voice your opinion at free will.
And Lieutenant Ling, I think our audience would really interested to hear about the daily activities during the civil unrest, how an average officer or yourself, what you do, what you face, and how many hours you work, and how many days in this consecutively that you work. And I want the audience to understand the hardship that you guys are dealing with during that time, and perhaps you can share that with us.
So as I recall, it broke out on one of the weekdays. We worked, I think I recall, worked 12 days straight. It was 12-day, 12-hour shift. So more like 14-hour a day. So the first 4 days being the most problematic. The flashpoint being in front of the police headquarters in downtown. Mm-hmm. So the group got bigger and bigger and bigger. And although we do observe First Amendment right, we support what they do, however, it become violent, become a problem. How you contain people start throwing rocks and bottles, putting high density flashlight at your face, laser pointer, all those things are coming your way. And now, can you use force to push him, but where you push him to? Okay, they talk about making a mass arrest, but how many of them go arrest? You got like 2,000 people in front of you. How many can you arrest? So they try to come in your building and burn your building down. You try to keep that from going. Once you're able to push him away to build a barrier between your property and the street, they start running all over the street. Now you try to contain the whole downtown area. And it not just that flashpoint. It is because of social media, because the advance of technology, much easier to coordinate I wouldn't call it attack, but gather a group of people. A flash mob very easy. I want everybody at 1 o'clock, I want to see you at 3rd and Fairfax at the Grove. And they'll show up. And we have a flashpoint over there. and the whole city is under siege in different part at a certain time. We got sent all over the place. I was in downtown on the first 2 days, and I got sent to Hollywood for the next 2 days. The National Guard got pulled in, and we just rotating, just chasing fire after fire. And you have looter, you have the looter control, you have to go chase after them. So it's not just me, it's a rotation of officer, and people are getting tired, and the cases still coming in, and those cases, we left it alone. Nobody touched any cases for a week.
Wow.
So just sits there.
Wow.
Your regular work.
So I've got to ask, when you're out there, you're experiencing all of this that you're describing, thinking about your background, thinking about what you came to this job for, seeing I'm sure, feeling the hostility and the danger of the situation. What type of feelings can you share with us about what you're dealing with when you're confronted with this situation, knowing who you are, whatever your background is, and your approach to service or whatever? First Amendment. What are your feelings that you're experiencing when you're in the midst of this?
So interesting. First, I never expect to see 2 riot in my career. I was here on the 92 riot. I came on the job in 1991. I was a brand new rookie with a month out of academy, and the riot broke.
No way.
I was in front of Parker Center. I still have the picture for it. I was right in front of Parker Center when that happened. So that lasts about 10 days. And now this time around, I'm a lieutenant running about 60 people in front of me to control the line, whatever I have. I think the fear of not so much myself or am I able to do the job, the fear of my officer getting hurt. That what happened when certain thing breaks out or one of them got hurt, what can I do to safely extract that officer, get them the medical care they need, or if the people actually push through the line, can we physically contain it? And you understand, LAPD, we don't have shields, we don't have water cannon, we don't have none of these stuff that nationally different police department has ability to have. We have nothing but a PR-24 baton and a helmet and a shield, and that's what we have. They just took away our beanbag shotgun on the line, so now I only have a foam bullet that shoot out there with one projectile at a time to scare these guys away. If they coordinate attack, want to push through, who do you think is going to win? I have, at any given time, I believe 50, 60 people on the line, and that 200 in front of me, I'm going to lose.
But even more specifically,
Do you feel betrayed?
do you feel betrayed by the people that you are obligated to serve when you're confronted with hostility and violence by what is represented as your public?
I think I wouldn't use the word betrayal. I think disappointment. I would use the word disappointment to it. The lack of understanding of what police work comprised of. And we listen to the news sometime on the reflection, what the police force on the reform, what they want to see, what kind of oversight should have. Oh, they should have, every single use of force should be looked at by civilian oversight board. We should have check and balance on this thing. We're going down the list on all these things they talk about, and I can only speak for my police department in LAPD. Every single thing they ask for, we are doing. If I'm doing everything possible that you wanted, what more do you want from me? But we never have that voice. The police department does never have that voice with the news media. That I asked the chief one time, when collectively in the meeting, hey, we're doing all this good thing, all this implementation they asked for. We are the pioneer to do it already. Then why are we still fighting this war? Because a lot of the news will not air those kind of topics. When the chief try to explain, hey, we're doing this A, B, C, and D, they will not air it because that does not fit the profile of what's going on in the world at the time.
So, profile meaning a political viewpoint from
Political
the
viewpoint.
media.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're
Right. Right.
So, do you feel like these events that we've been talking about have had any direct or indirect on the incidence or an occurrence of hate acts against Asians?
To some small part, I think the racial tension to different, doesn't matter which race, has played a role in this one. Just like George Floyd, does it necessarily has to be the white officer against a black person?
You know, but it seemed like to me, my consciousness, that once all of that trifecta you were talking about, then all of a sudden I start seeing a bunch of Asian hate incidents, like it was somehow related. Not that I can find any relationship, but I just wanted to know what you thought about that.
So on Asian hate start coming up last year a little bit more prominent. I think the news start reporting, seeing the commonality of it, especially in the Bay Area and San Francisco, that the senior being pushed and being robbed, or for the one absolute no reason. So two things I do as an observation. One, the mental health issue is a big thing. So a lot of these people are not being assaulted or battered because of their race, because the guy you deal with is a nut. And I see a lot of that. Doesn't matter who walk by, a single female walk by, doesn't matter what you are, he's gonna punch you, because that's the craziness we're dealing with. But also the Asian culture, a lot of time, are more prominent to be a target, because Asian are known to carry cash, jewelry, and the underreporting of a crime is very true. When I worked Asian crime years ago, a lot of the crime is underreported. It happened, but they don't report it. And I asked the victim, why didn't you report it? So we could help you. The first question is, are you going to get me my property back? If you're not going to get my stuff back, what am I calling you for? The lack of, they want the immediate gratification to get the stuff back. What kind of justice can I get out of it? And take a step further, let's say I do get the suspect arrested and go to court with it, and the victim will ask, I have to go to court, I have to go to work, I have to go to court, I lose the day's wages, I lose money on top of money, so why am I helping you? That's the mentality in the Asian mentality. It's very true.
And also, I mean, really, yeah, they're absolutely right in some ways, because if you go to court, often these things probably don't get prosecuted, not just because they weren't reported by them, but even if they went to the station, potentially they're just going to say, well, you lost your belongings, somebody took them, and, hey presto. A lot of the time they just look at it that, especially here in Los Angeles, I feel like a lot of the, police would just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, well, that's too bad. But and because they're so busy and overwhelmed, which is completely understandable, overwhelmed with more serious and real things happening in the world, especially Los Angeles. We all hear it in the news, but maybe not enough sometimes for, like what you were saying, they pick and choose, which
Sure.
doesn't seem fair.
They absolutely pick and choose on the dialogue with it, the theme of the week at a time. So whatever you talk about, and that's what they go with.
It seems to me that, the public has a perception about the law enforcement are responsible for all these crimes. But however, the prosecution part of it, I heard a lot about the district attorney's office, and from San Francisco to Los Angeles, all the way to Chicago, and it seems like the prosecution is not really moving forward. Is that the case, Lieutenant?
Yeah, that's accurate. It still is the case. And going back to the trifecta, it's a lot of trifecta on that part as well. The lack of prosecution, especially for LA County, they're taking away the enhancement, the tool that we could lock a truly bad suspect in jail for a long period of time, so that person doesn't go out and assault a different victim again and again. We lose that tools. The reform of the jail system to lesser the population in the jail, early release program between Prop 47, Prop 57, all those things, early release a lot of the violent criminal. Most of them will offend again on a different crime. Many of them do, and I do see it on a day-to-day basis, because the lack of consequences right now. As you mentioned earlier, that first it's difficult to catch a bad guy, to put a case actually move forward for prosecution. once I go to the prosecution and they give him a very light sentence, we have the perpetual revolving door over and over again. I personally, I got tired arresting the same people over and over again. It truly wastes my time. Sometimes I reflect that, what did I do wrong? What did I miss last time? Perfect example, in Hollywood, my officer arrested a guy, a crazy person, beat up a lady in the middle of the street for absolutely no reason. We got him on tape, we got him in custody. He was processed, booked. 2 days later, we saw him on the street fighting with somebody else again.
Wow.
Even I recognize him. And it's like, wait a minute, didn't we arrest him 2 days ago? Oh yeah, $0 bail. He was released.
That's absolutely shocking.
So these are the things. It truly is not helping me. The system is falling apart as we speak because the lack of prosecution, the $0 bail because of COVID, the lessen the population and the jail system pushing more the criminal that needs to stay in there are out on the street. And what do? They're looking for victim to harm, and now I have to keep doing the same job over and over again.
That's very sad to hear that.
That is
Yeah.
but that's not a new story. So swinging back a little bit with your experience and your actual your position within the department that you've attained, what does it mean being at the level you are in the LAPD and being Asian, as opposed to say being anything else, any other race?
So it's interesting now. For the past 30 years, I see a lot of changes in the department. When I first joined the force, there was 8,400 officers, rank and file altogether. There's only 2% Asian. 2% meaning out of 8,400 looking at about 200. So that also comprises of Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, all mixed race. They mix bag it all together. So since then, the recruitment, they're more looking at the parity of the city. They're more inclined to look at minority group population and how we mirror the number. Also, the new thing is the female recruitment right now. We're pushing a lot of female officers. So since then, the city actually did a pretty good job. We're up to about 8%. I do see quite a bit of Asians. So, and right now, the majority is not white or black, is Hispanic. We have about 55% Hispanic officer in the rank and file in LAPD.
So this development sounds like a more diverse situation. What is the net effect to you in your operation, your ability to function, whatever, advancement, acceptance, dealing with the public, whatever?
I could see that in the past, I would say about 20 years, Asian, doesn't matter male, females, doesn't seem to fit the leadership role, the profile, if you will.
What do you mean? Doesn't fit?
When you look at a law enforcement point of view, how many Asian chiefs do you see back in 20 years ago?
Doesn't seem to fit.
Doesn't
Doesn't work out.
Yes, that's
I
correct.
get you. Okay.
Doesn't fit the mold.
Not a good fit. Is that what you?
You don't.
Adam, for probation department, we have one Asian American chief a while back. Yeah, we did. We have one over all these years. At least 30 years of my time.
So going back is first of all, you need to recruit the people in the Asian community want to be police officer. That's far and few between. So when people ask me, and friends in church, everything else, what do you do? You're a police officer. Ooh, interesting. I could count in my church there's 6,000 people. There are 3 police officers. So, and I know all 3 of them. So that tells you it's far and few between to begin with. And the advancement is there, but you don't really have a role model or a standard that you don't see the Asian chief standing in front of you until more recent time. Same, we're talking about breaking the glass ceiling. Female chief, very recent, they started making female deputy chief, assistant chief in my department. We're still waiting for the first female police chief in the department.
So is the lane open, or is it still kind of congested up there, or we just haven't done it yet? I mean, how does it look?
I think is promising. I can tell you that right now. I have the first assistant chief right now. He is Dominic Choi. He's a Korean American, very smart guy, young, energetic, and he definitely have the potential to be the next chief of police in LA. So that's feel contender. For me personally, that you asked me earlier at my role, not too many Asian American has the ability that I've been doing as a lieutenant to run big operation in different shop like this. It's an opportunity they invested in me, and I explored it, and it seems to be working out pretty good.
So, being an American and Asian, do you feel that you have a responsibility to, other American Asians in the force or in your workplace?
I think definitely a little bit in my mind, and being Asian, that you want to be looked upon. They don't, when you fail, they don't look at you as Ling, you fail, but hey, as an Asian guy, you fail. Back then, I didn't remember those terms, the affirmative action, the equal opportunity employment, all that stuff. So a lot of time, if an Asian male, Asian female make up the rank, he made it because of affirmative action, not because of ability. I take that to heart. I really don't like that say, because that's in people's mind. I want to be known, because they promoted me and put me in a position of power because of my ability, not because of my race.
Right.
I take offense of that.
Agreed. Yeah.
But do you feel that race has helped or hindered you in any way, or neither?
Sometimes I think it's a little bit of both at times. It sometimes will benefit you, sometimes it might not. So when I'm on the other side of the seat to look at promotion and look at the overall picture of the promotional process on a training officer for the division, I want a senior detective supervisor to promote to the rank of it. I also look at the whole outfit's dynamic, the racial makeup of it. Always look for the most qualified person at the same time, but you have two equally qualified person that's suitable for the job. But I look at the whole outfit, the whole operation is that, I don't have a single female being a leader on this group, but I do have a qualified female. I would probably look at that to promote the equality a little bit better by picking a female.
But then, me being a female, or just being a female and then recruiting, let's say new cadets. How do you think that they fear going in, because what you were saying earlier, how the system is not helping them all, the system is not ideal situation. You got a lot of violence on and aggression towards police. Do you think, are there any sort of new developments and changes that they're trying to make, or is bringing women in part of neutralizing some of that aggression towards the police? And are they maybe even using women just to hire them, just to show that, is it what's the developments for that? What's their incentive? Is it just to make it fair, or is it maybe just to make it that, we want everybody to look at us like a softer place so you can come in and talk?
No, there's the department, I know the last 2 years they've been really aggressively campaigning for increasing the women female officer in the rank and file. There was the promotion of 30-30. So they want 30% female in the force by the year 2030. So we're progressing that way quite a bit. Police work is not for everyone. I'll start out with that. You really have to have the mannerism, has the decision making, and the right fit for the job when you do it. Some people just don't have the stomach for it. And being a female, do you have more to show for, or more to prove to yourself or to the world? that I could do the job because I move on to do better. Like me, I'm a Chinese guy, but hey, I'm not big guy, but I need to prove to you I could do the job too. But I don't see it as much, but at the same time, the job is demanding enough. And some people will go out their way, try to prove themselves to me that I could do the job better. But just do your job. You don't need to go out so far to prove it to me on that.
So Mike, if I can call you Mike,
Yes,
Lieutenant.
absolutely.
As you coming up, how do you prove yourself? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of challenges. As you come out from a rookie to the point where you are now.
So I always ask for opportunity. That's what you're looking for. I know I could do the job, but would they give you the opportunity to do it? My first promotion was a field training officer, having 2 stripes on my sleeve, training the new recruit, the new probationary officer coming out, show them what needs to be done. That's my first step, to show them that I could do it. The satisfaction, the validation that you could do the job is greater than the pay itself. And then you work your way up. One thing good about working for a big police department versus a small one, there's a lot of opportunity to expand your knowledge. After that, I want to go to vice, I want to go to narcotic, do a tour. I want to learn different things on what it's about. Oh, that looks like fun. Or you could come to work in shorts. Oh, I like that. So those are the things that kind of attracts me. And I want to challenge myself to, can I do it? And then the best way I start learning is that don't stuck in one place too long that you become complacent and you're kind of stale. But you challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone and do something different. And that's how you get knowledge. And when I start doing my job is to validate myself to do more.
What would have helped you get along better when you were coming up and coming through the ranks?
I think I learned from the old sergeant before, and you work for a supervisor before in your life, no matter what job you do. You like some and you don't like some. Why you like certain person, why you don't like. Some of the sergeant, I still remember their name after 30 years. And some sergeant will ask me to do things, I'll do the bare minimum because I don't like that guy. But this guy, I'll follow him to the end of the hills. Why? Because you're a people person. At the end of the day, you take off your uniform, you're a person. Can you treat people with respect and dignity? Because I always preach and tell my people that works for me that you can never control what's going on outside. People yell and scream all day long, you cannot control it. But can you control how we treat each other behind these doors? Absolutely. Can we do better on that? So I always take that to heart, and I treat everybody as nice as I can. Every morning I make my round. I make my round, say hi to everybody before I go sit down. It works out really good for me. Some people say, no, nobody ever come by and say hi to me ever. You're the first one. But those are small gestures does gain a lot of the trust and the rapport with the working relationship with the people I work with. That seems to work out pretty good for me.
As a person in your department, as a person in your city, with all the experience that you have, as an Asian American who's got your own personal story, and in the context of your work and your department, with regard to Asian Americans, what does LAPD need right now?
It's a very deep question. I need people. I think to restore the trust of the public to continue to push forward.
In what way?
After 2 years, the George Floyd incident, that the entire nation need to show that police officers doing the job that they are appointed to do. We need to regain that trust and respect from the community.
Why would you feel that you have to do that?
Because you see as many protests as I do, you see it. Because people will yell at your face that refuse to talk to you. I still have victims that file report and they'll walk away when the officer gets there. That a crime happened, victim got shot with a bullet wound on their arm, officer get there, they will not talk to them. That is the lack of trust that I see.
Wow. And that's in LA. That's in LA.
That's in Los
And
Angeles.
That's
yes.
you experienced that.
That's what I experienced. And to rebuild a community is a two-way. I will respect you, but you don't respect me back. I can only go so far. In order to be successful, you need to have a dialogue. We need to be able to talk to each other in open forum. But every time we talk, I'm getting yelled at. And people will come up to, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm here to help you. No. I see that on a day-to-day basis.
Well, from '92 riots until now, do you feel the city or the county has improved or continued to remain the same as the perspective towards law enforcement? Is it the same, or is it actually gone worse in the past 5 years?
It's very interesting that I start knowing more a little bit now that dealing with city council people and a little bit more, understand the politics a little bit more. That politician being politician is that they never come out and support the police in the open if it doesn't gain votes or doesn't gain the constituent support. I have seen it firsthand. I have politicians, as you know, that a lot of the defunding police cutting the budget right at 2020. It was unanimously except two. It was like 15-2 that they said no, we're gonna cut the funding right now, right off the bat, without trial, without contest, without anything. And those some of those council members that I know of will talk to me a week later on the side, asking me for help. It's like you support the defunding the budget, but you're asking me for help. They'll tell me straight up, as a politician, I need to maintain the support to keep my position. But behind the door, you have my support.
Well, you might not be able to say this, but since I'm the host, I'm gonna say there are a few city council personnel that was recently got indicted, and I believe that I think that's the truth.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah, because to me that doesn't sound fair or right in any way. So
Sounds like politics.
well, we're not here for politics, really. But
We have to delete that part. Yeah, go ahead.
do you want to talk about some of the defunding? Because we haven't talked about that at all. Like how, are they changing it back?
Yeah.
They are giving it back. Actually, they give it back. But I could talk about some of the.
Is it okay to talk about
I can talk
that?
about some of the complication I deal with the school right now. That is
Oh, yeah.
the school is more the more obvious the defunding the police thing.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure. What I don't know anything about this. What is it?
The school.
The LA Unified School District.
Yes.
We're no longer allowed to go inside.
What? I did not know that.
All right,
LAPD
so
not
let's-
supp- They're not allowed to go inside on campus.
So you could ask me about the defunding police. How is the relationship with the current climate? There's a big movement about basically eliminate the Los Angeles Unified School Police altogether.
Right. Oh, okay.
Therefore, there's no police force.
All right.
It's gone by now.
How's that related to us and my work? Because I deal with them right now.
Yeah. So, Mike, tell us a bit about the defunding of the police, but also that movement towards sort of eliminating essentially the force into the LAPD going into LAUSD schools, which is, yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. On the same token, back in 2020, that the big movement on how the LA Unified School District promote the public safety within the school ground. Back then, some of the school has metal detector, bag check that they enter the school system. There is a school resource officer in each of the high schools to deal with the fires, to deal with delinquency issues, all that stuff. Since the defunding movement, they have eliminated all those positions. The officers are no longer stationed in the school ground. The metal detectors are gone. They're no longer random bag check. So the only one with guns actually with the are the kids. So now talking to my partner on the school police, I deal with them on a weekly basis. That the only before is one resource officer per major school. Now is when they call, you respond. So you lose their visibility and the go-to person on campus. Now there's a lot of underreporting on fights on campus, stabbing, harassment, fights. And a lot of the administrator and principal follow suit is that they're leaning towards rehabilitation or mediation versus arrest and prosecution. So it becomes very tough for us.
That's been a trend, though, that's been going on for quite a while, because I think, it was a few years ago that they stopped pursuing a certain list of charges on school campuses that they were no longer going to enforce. And
Yeah, that's correct. It's not the teachers or any of it's not their responsibility. So I've been hearing, because I have a teenager, been hearing they have fights outside of the school, right outside the school, and there's really nothing the teachers can do, and they don't get involved. And this is a new phenomena for me since my kids' first year in high school. But it's rather concerning. It's very worrying, and I think you're right, Mike, that kids carry weapons by the time they're 15 years old and up.
Well, what can you do as parents? I mean, what's the best course of action for parents if you have to give them some advice?
Yeah, what advice can you give people out there?
In a perfect home that we don't have problem, we don't have to talk about it. But most of these problems are the family, both parents has to go to work, and they work long hour, low income jobs. They're not home to coach or to have a one-on-one session with your kids. And the kids go to school and they go to lunch and what do they hang out with? If a broken family, if a single family, even worse. And the gang member comes around, hey, you're not doing anything, why don't you hang out with me? Go play around. And you follow the wrong crowd and the wrong path will continue. And then, well, you gotta show your loyalty. I don't like that guy, you go stab him one time for me. And they do simple things like that. Or racial tension, you look at me wrong. Anything could spark those things. The question is, who's gonna stop it? If the teacher, the staff unable to contain it, back then you could fall back to the school police. It's there. If they need more, LAPD could back your plate. I'll come in to help you with it. We're no longer allowed to go into the school campus until they call me, until they call us to go out there. So without it, my hands are kind of tied. I can only do the stuff outside the school, not inside the school.
So is that something that has been non-beneficial then? You can absolutely see the results have been detrimental, and did you see a sharp change in was there a big difference for the negative side?
I could see that definitely lose the education part and the outreach part on the law enforcement side. Back then, we could send a couple officers in there, have a auditorium full of kids on a public safety session and talk about joke around stuff, and get them to know that there's a more human side of the law enforcement. Because we talk about that, why is the law enforcement perception is so negative sometimes? When you go see a doctor, in your lifetime, you see a doctor for normal stuff. When do you see police officer? When they pull you over. When the red light comes behind your mirror, okay, they're getting pulled over. Most of the time, when police come talk to you, it's a negative, your worst time. You're a victim of crime, you just got robbed, you just got hurt, you did something wrong, you just got pulled over. All the bad stuff comes over when you go see a law enforcement officer. It's never a time you and I could sit down, have a cup of coffee, and break bread and talk. You don't get that. By getting us to school, we could talk to the kid on a one-on-one, on a non-abrasive, neutral manner. So you could kind of smooth things out as you go and open up to a bigger topic. By losing the opportunity and dialogue, when do I educate them?
So who makes the decisions to do things like this? to make those changes, let's say to have LAPD go back in, but maybe have somebody who's not undercover like yourself, but more like a neutral, like you said, maybe like a female, I mean even male, but somebody who's less, maybe not wearing a uniform. Is there such a thing?
Yeah, we could dress anything you like to go in to talk to the people, uniform or not, wear different kind of clothing, non-abrasive, whatnot. It really comes down to the school administrator, the principal, the board of supervisor to give us the approval to be part of the school
Politics.
learning. A lot to do with that. Yes.
So
absolutely.
essentially, it's the politicians that make the decisions, such as city council,
Well, you always go back to who makes the rule.
local ones.
I don't make the rule; I just follow it.
That's because I've seen. I mean, the trend has been. I remember when there was no school PD police, and then at some point it became, well, schools are being criminalized, and so we need to stop attacking these certain things because we're having a bad effect on our kids. And so it goes from it goes from we need to go and protect our kids. There's nobody with a gun at the school in case something happens. But wait, there's too many guns at the school by too many cops. Now we got to get them out of there. And it seems like it sweeps back and forth. But right now, yeah, it's there. Yeah. Well, there's a district attorney who's not prosecuting a lot of things for whatever reason.
Petty crime, I suppose they would call that.
Not so petty crimes either.
Yeah.
I mean, the trend right now is about interventions and I won't say non-enforcement, but leniency.
And especially juvenile cases too. I mean, they're not prosecuting any majority of those cases.
Yeah, it's very tough, and a lot of juvenile delinquent that I'm looking at major assault crime, murder, shooting. The juveniles are the suspect on some of these cases, and my hands are tied.
Shooting.
And
they're not.
They
just
they go in there for a week, 2 weeks, and they come back out on the street, and I do see them. Because
And
they
these
not
are
doing-
known gang members.
known gang member, certified documented gang members, used in major crime, major cutting, multiple crime, not one.
Well, Lieutenant, just bear with Nina because she's a civilian, so she wouldn't know what's going on.
I'm just keeping up. I'm trying to keep
oh
up
my
here.
goodness.
So, with regard to the situation in Los Angeles, in the area we live in, the diversity we've got, the issues we're dealing with, being a person who's not only a law enforcement officer, but a member of the community, Asian community, just the community. What do we need now? Where do we go? You've got a magic wand. You're looking at things. You've got experience. You've got an insightful wit. You've got all of the information in front of you, and now you can sweep your hand and make it happen. What's going to happen? What needs to happen right now?
It's a lot of things needs to happen. A lot of good things needs to happen. World peace and all the good stuff. But I think education, understanding, tolerance, all those are good stuff to good starting point. I think education, to increase the tolerance, what is starting point? A lot of people that lack understanding become ignorant. That is the blind following the blind, truly. That following the leader. You go by bad news, bad politics, and bad results. We do see crime go up. I think going back to something you guys talk about, the hate crime that comes up. It's interesting, it's double-edged sword because the more we talk about it, the crime goes up. Why is that? Because it was underreported. The crime is always there. Just that, do we know about it? When we talk about, we did that before. I've seen it because for the trans community, I deal with a lot in Hollywood. We told them, how do you get police services to get there? You need to report the crime. You don't report the crime, how do I know to come help you? Guess what? There's a line of people coming to police station making crime, and my crime just went up 100%. Same with the Asian-related crime right now. The more we talk about it, and you know what, Mom? If you got hurt, I need you to go to police station with me and make the report. now the status went skyrocketed.
Think about that.
So because the awareness, so be careful. It's great to be educated, to get knowledge, but stand by for the aftermath to go with it.
Well, that's that's the law enforcement, the proximity effect. We filter all the garbage and all the worst of everything, and it runs in front of our faces all day, and we kind of get affected by that.
Absolutely.
So, in fact, and this might be controversial, but you talking about if you're defunding something like that, I feel like maybe you need more funding, but for the right direction and putting it to the correct places with the correct type of movement in order for that piece that we're all looking for, and that sort of education and the children and protecting everybody and the trans and all of that, any of the hate crime especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's always that it's not so much the defunding the certain entity for the job they fail to do. I think it's the reformation of what the better policy, what you should do better, how you do your job better based on what you have. Are we striving to do better every day? Better policy, better control? Are we doing audit to make sure we're honest to what we're supposed to do? Those are the reform that we can live with, and I agree on it. Because how do I know that I tasked my officer to do a job out there without checking it? How do I even know they did it? That's a check and balance on all this stuff. Are they doing the right thing? But do you ever check? Or you just take his word for it? No, doesn't matter. Law enforcement is just a title. It runs a business, it runs the same way. You as an employer, you pay an employee to do the job, and that employee is not producing the amount of work you're supposed to do. What do you do with them? You correct them, retrain them, and all this stuff. Law enforcement is no different.
Right, which takes money really and time, and time is money, and so it's sort of an issue that does seem to be needing the exposure to have some of this sort of not necessarily reform in a backwards way, but in a forwards, looking forwards.
Yes, up to the forward to make it better. You already have a system, but what can we make it better?
So, Mike Ling.
150 years from now, there's a big old book written and your name is in it. And they don't have room for all of your accomplishments, so they have maybe room for a sentence or two that sums up everything you were trying to do and everything you were successful at doing, hopefully, in what you consider your body of work. What's that statement going to say that you did?
I think leaving a footprint, a legacy might be a little too bold, but if I could remember as a good person, a person that could be trusted and dependent, and is like somebody I could go to, I think that's enough for me.
Would you like to have a statue built in front of Parker Center?
Oh, there we have one for me. No, I'm just kidding. So, but on this job, I'm blessed because I meet a lot of people, see a lot of friends, and that's something that no other job could provide that to me. Truly, give me the keys and the car and go to see the world, and that's important.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Mike, for
coming out.
Lieutenant Mike. We so appreciate your humbleness and the chance to talk to you. And hopefully we can talk again about other escapades. I want to hear more about what goes down in Hollywood.
Yeah, we would like to hear more, not just war stories, but more stories about,
war stories.
Oh yeah, I mean next time maybe we can talk about war stories, but today is our own. Just warm them up for the first episode. How about that, guys?
Next time, come with me. I'll give you a nickel tour of downtown.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I gotta.
Yeah, I think we should, but
put my body armor on before I go there.
Is there anything we've missed from you today?
No, it's been a pleasure and honor to share some insight with you, and I hope that it's something that kind of open your mind or thing that change your point of view on law enforcement to some degree.
It's an incredible opportunity to have you here, and I think everybody has really benefited from hearing what you've got to say.
Especially the younger folks that coming up the ladder. I think, to hear your wisdom, what's do and what don't.
Really appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Outstanding person, Mike Ling, Lieutenant of Narcotics and Undercover Gang Work at the Rampart Division of LAPD. Tune in with us, your host, in the All-American Asian podcast for a future episode where we tackle all of these serious topics. See you then.